ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:03 here in mid-Missouri. We're expecting a beautiful day today on this St. Patty's Day, partly sunny with a high of 76. Chance of rain tonight, low near 47, and rain in the forecast tomorrow. We certainly will get colder tomorrow. High only around 50 degrees. Right now, 52 in Columbia. It's 51 in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. A pair of kayakers were rescued from the Missouri River in Jefferson City on Wednesday afternoon.
2 women have to be pulled from the Missouri River at the Norton Access at Jefferson City. The pair were in a tandem kayak. One person had to be taken by an ambulance to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A man at the scene identified himself as the kayaker's friend and said the two were there training for a race. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
Meantime, Jefferson City Police say the only safe driver is one who is completely sober. JCPD officers are increasing DWI saturation patrols today for St. Patrick's Day. Jefferson City Police Department Lieutenant Dave Williams tells 93.9 The Eagle the Jefferson City Police will have patrols out all day. They're working to keep impaired drivers off the road. They are urging you, if you do drink, to get a designated driver. Just this week, Jefferson City Police arrested an impaired driver who crashed into a concrete retaining wall on Highway 54, then failed to yield to emergency vehicles. Jeff City Police found more than 2 pounds of marijuana inside his vehicle. That incident happening Tuesday at 9 a.m. A jury of 8 men and 5 women hearing the Columbia murder trial taking place at the Boone County Courthouse in Columbia. David Myers charged with second-degree murder for the death of 39-year-old Anthony Lockwood of Sycamore Hills near Creasy Springs. The Boone County Medical Examiner's Office testifying Wednesday that Lockwood had meth and alcohol in his system when he died. However, the examiner's office also testified that meth did not contribute to his death and that a stab wound from a sharp instrument killed him. Defense attorney David Kirshner is arguing this was self-defense. Boone County Circuit Judge Brooke Jacobs is presiding over the trial. He is allowing jurors to take notes during the trial. I saw them yesterday taking extensive notes during the trial, which continues this morning here in about 2 hours. An April 19th jury trial is scheduled for a Columbia man charged in connection with a 2017 drug-related killing in Old Hawthorne. 29-year-old Jeffrey McWilliams charged with second-degree murder for the death of Augustus Roberts. He died in a home in the 1900 block of Lasso Circle. McWilliams pleading not guilty in February in Boone County Circuit Court. He was featured on the Food Network's Restaurant Impossible show in 2019 while working at McLank's, which has since closed here in Columbia. Columbia's mayor describes the business loop as a commercial strip of innovators, makers, and manufacturers.
You've got Wave Cider here that adds a cool vibe. You've got some great anchor tenants like Mac, like Parkade, like Boone Electric Co-op.
Boone Electric is building its massive new headquarters near the business loop in I-70. That project expected to be done by late summer, early fall. MACC has built their state-of-the-art lab at Parkade. Mizzou superfan Tiger John Cleek has lost his battle with ALS, passing away Wednesday, University Hospital, Columbia. Thousands of Mizzou football fans honoring Cleek during a November football game at Faroe. A message played on the video board. ABC 17 News reports Cleek Sr. began working at the store at the age of 15, missed only 3 football games at Faroe since 1958. He also helped MU Healthcare, ALS Clinic and Research, raising money as well. And a quick reminder, Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler joins us live right after this newscast with Branden and I on the program. The news is brought to you this hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all of your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, Mizzou women's basketball team hosting Drake tonight, opening round of the NIT tournament. Tip-off set for 7 at Mizzou Arena here in Columbia. 6:45 pregame. KTGR FM 100.5. Brad Fernago on the call this evening. First time these two teams have played in Columbia since 1979. Sports brought to you this hour by Atterbury Auction and Realty Company. They are Mid-Missouri's most trusted online and live auction company. They specialize in real estate personal property auctions. Atterbury Auction Realty Company. Our news time, 6:07.
From ABC 17 Storm Track meteorologist Kevin Schneider, it's shaping up to be a nice day overall, but clouds will be on the increase this afternoon as we push into the mid-70s once again, but we're staying dry for your St. Patrick's Day activities. Rain will return overnight as lows fall into the 50s, and it looks like we'll be stuck with the rain and those temperatures throughout the day on Friday. We'll be dry into the weekend with highs bouncing back into the 70s by Sunday. I'm meteorologist Kevin Schneider, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on 93.9 The Eagle.
Right now it is 52 degrees in Columbia, 51 degrees in Jefferson City. Our sunrise this morning, 7:18. It will set at 7:18 as well. And our weather is brought to you by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. It's 6:08.
93.9 Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is with midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Roads right now are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. We hope that certainly continues. Again, a lot of the communities, police departments will have an increased presence of police, especially with St. Patrick's Day. Jefferson City especially, you will notice extra police patrols all day into this evening, patrolling, looking for impaired drivers on St. Patrick's Day. Again, as the police said, if you do drink, please make sure you get a designated driver and not drive a vehicle today. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle.
What is happening?
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Radio Group World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, news director Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you. Get ready, pal.
And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
They exist and you have them, but they are on Earth, not in Ukraine, in the Ukrainian sky. They do not defend our people. I have a dream. These words are known to each of you. Today I can say, I have a need. I need to protect our sky.
I don't think I've seen this much unity in Congress in a long time. He gave a forceful, moving, engaging advocacy for the people of Ukraine and a plea to us to help close his skies.
Senator Chris Coons, and of course also an interpreter for that speech yesterday from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Moving speeches. We were watching it here in the studio yesterday morning. We were dipping in and out during the show here on Wake Up Columbia yesterday. And then Senator Chris Coons saying, I have not seen this much unity in D.C., in the Senate, and in Congress. Want to bring in Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler. She saw the speech yesterday. She joins us now here on 93.9 The Eagle. Do you agree with the statements of Senator Chris Coons that we're seeing a lot of unity right now in D.C. over this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're all wearing our co-flag of the United States and then the flag of Ukraine pins, and we are looking and trying to do everything we can to help the people of Ukraine with, combat this terrible assault by an evil tyrant who is just bent on power and destruction. And it is just horrific to watch. But it was inspiring to hear President Zelensky's speech yesterday. It was an honor to be there in person at this very, very historic moment. And we are united with their people. We are united to do what we can to help. And I was pleased that the president provided $800 million more of assistance to them. But I just think we've got to continue to do more and explore every avenue possible in order to get them the resources that they need, as well as the humanitarian assistance.
Seldomly do we see a topic that has so many different delicate issues. For example, should we do a no-fly zone? Well, here's the problems that could potentially cause. Well, should we just go and bomb out of Russia? Well, here's the problems that could cause. A lot of delicate issues surrounding this. You said you think that we could do more. In your mind, Congresswoman, what is it that you'd like to see us do more of?
Well, the security package yesterday was helpful to continue to get more Stinger missiles, Javelin missiles that have been helpful in there. It includes some patrol boats, but it only has 200 shotguns, 200 machine guns, 200 grenade launchers. I've got the list here. I mean, is a nation of 44 million people. 3 million of them have escaped, and they're refugees now. But that means there's still 41 million people hunkered down there in that country, and we're giving them 200 shotguns. I mean, that could arm one ladies' coffee group. I mean, we need. I'm proud of all those grandmas and women and everybody else that's stepping up and help. But good grief, we need more than that. But also, I think it's time to seriously figure out a way to get them and let them have their MiG aircraft. I know it is a risk, but we've got to keep exploring that. I was pleased last night to learn that we're working with some of our allies, and it looks like Slovenia is going to provide them with some new S-300 missile defense systems. That is something else that we can do tangibly that they don't have enough of. Is the missile defense systems with over 1,000 missiles that have been launched into their country that's just decimating their homes and their schools and their hospitals. So these are avenues that we certainly should be exploring and get there as soon as possible.
All right, Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler joining us here on the show, and we can continue every morning to bring you the evil acts that Vladimir Putin is inflicting upon the people of Ukraine. Yesterday, a shelter that had children in it, and clearly said, "Hey, kids here, please don't bomb us," and they did it anyway. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, 93.9 The Eagle. So we saw the speech yesterday. I think a lot of people are moved by this guy, moved by the plight of the people in Ukraine. And Congresswoman, I'll tell you this before we get on to the next topic. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was KOMU 8, they spoke with a woman from Jefferson City, who just 5 years ago moved from Ukraine. And I hope you get an opportunity to share this somewhere. Hey, a Missourian, 5 years removed from Ukraine. And here's what she told the TV station. She says, this is not necessarily a battle for land, things like that. What they are battling for in Ukraine are the very simple things that we as Americans enjoy every day. In other words, they're fighting for freedom, for their own form of government, and it was just stunning. Back home, D.C., I'm baffled that the administration continues to clamp down on the usage of masks and federal transport. What's going on in D.C.?
They're clearly not following the science, other than political science. It is baffling. We live free here in Missouri. We're not wearing masks. The risk of COVID is very low at this point. We're getting on with our lives. And then every week when I fly to D.C., boy, you got to put that mask on once you go through the doors of the airport. And, boy, you better keep it on in the airplane or else they're going to really penalize you and may kick you off. I mean, this is ridiculous. So I led a effort to the CDC a week ago and had over 40 members of Congress sign on to my letter demanding that they take down this rule because they have announced everywhere else it's okay to not wear masks, but they continue to clamp down on travelers. And unfortunately, they ignored that, and they actually extended the mandate through April 18th. And so I signed on to some legislation and other letters, the one yesterday, Sam Graves is leading from Missouri to the president, saying this is ridiculous. The air on airplanes is one of the cleanest air you're going to breathe. It's filtered, a very high filtration system every 2 minutes. It's actually cleaner than just being in a restaurant or your home or business or normal environment. And so it's ridiculous they're doing this. And the same day they extended the mandate, they actually announced that 98% of the U.S. population lives where there's low or medium COVID, and local and state governments remove mask mandates. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and when I hear stuff like that, Congresswoman, to me, it's not the science. It's this mindset of a lot of these progressives. We just want to be in charge. We want to control people locally. And we've dealt with this with local government servants, specifically in Columbia. Well, you can go into the gym. When you walk into the gym, you have to put a mask on. But once you start getting on the equipment and touching all this other equipment and breathing heavily because you're lifting weights and doing cardio, then you don't have to keep a mask on, despite the fact it's just stupid. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler is joining us on 93.9 The Eagle.
Congresswoman, we appreciate you joining us. As always, I want to follow up with Branden's question here. Just a quick question about the public order. 44 of your Republican colleagues joined you in the letter to the CDC. Where are the other Republicans?
Oh, they probably just didn't hear about it yet. We put that news out to email to all the offices, and the staff may just don't have time to find it in the email box or talk to the members specifically before. We gave a pretty short order of that. It was like 1 day notice because I wanted to get that out before they made their decision. So, but I believe 100% of the Republican conference is supportive of what we're doing here.
That makes sense. Because I wasn't sure just based on the press release how many were contacted, et cetera. So you expect more on that. And then finally, have you had a chance to talk to anyone at the CDC? You said they ignored the letter. To talk to them about this, and what are the chances of this maybe being extended past April? Is that possible?
Well, it certainly is, because they have just continued to extend it since they originally mandated it back a couple years ago. And so, I think that's a good idea if they will talk to me. Some of the Biden administration, when Republicans call the various departments, they just ignore the call. And it's just, that's just horrific. But we can sure reach out and try to talk to them and talk some sense into them because this is not following the science. And it's contrary to their other rulings that they are making, allowing it and people to not have masks and, ordinary theaters and restaurants and schools and other things. So why do they just continue to focus on transportation, whether it be airlines or buses or trains? It makes no sense at all.
All right, we're coming up on your daily D.C. rundown. We'll do that at 6:25 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Meanwhile, kind of an appetizer of what's happening in D.C. with our Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, who is also running for Senate. The guy who will be eventually the senior senator from Missouri, Josh Hawley, talking about this. And this is more about kind of Ukraine, but more about messaging. And I want to do this quickly because I'm running out of time here. Josh Hawley the other day talking to Fox News.
It's bad enough that he's going around begging dictators to give us oil because he won't allow Americans to produce our own energy. But now he's going to actual teenagers and begging them on a Chinese-owned social media app to do his job.
TikTok. And this is true, by the way. The White House is utilizing teenagers and younger folks. Get on TikTok. These gas prices, they ain't Joe's fault. They're not Joe's fault. It's not the administration's fault. Meanwhile, we've got Biden using the Putin price hike. And there is some truth to that, obviously. But we've seen a lot of the cost of a lot of things had already increased dramatically. And that started on January the 20th of 2021. But now, as I flip through some of the progressive medias on the TV at night, everybody, Vicky, this just blows me away. They are picking up these news outlets. We joke that y'all get together in D.C. every morning, and Republicans meet with Fox, and all the Democrats meet with MSNBC and CNN, and they say, here are some of the talking points we are going to repeat all day long. But now I was stunned when I saw Biden call this Putin's price hike. I was stunned to hear that exact language on MSNBC twice. They're using the language verbatim. This is just stunning, and I don't understand how this could be. It's just blatant, and I just don't even know if I have a question. I just wanted to vent to you, Congressman, because you do represent me, and I want you to take that. If you get some time with Joe or Kamala today, say, I've got a constituent in mid-Missouri. He's just flabbergasted at the lack of performance. Okay, Congresswoman, before we let you go, is there anything that you would like to vent about? I've vented to you. Do you need to vent to me? You got folks you can talk to? You okay?
I'm doing great,
okay.
And I'm glad you mentioned that on the energy front, because you're right. The solution is simple. We need to become energy independent again, and Biden needs to approve the leases that are sitting on his desk for new oil drilling and production, as well as the LNG plant expansions. And so they're sitting right there on his desk and in his department. So we need to get back, and we also need to have accurate reporting. I mean, your point about propaganda is chilling. It really is. We got to make sure every message is heard, and we don't become like Russia, the citizens of Russia, who only heard one message, which is inaccurate, and it's pure propaganda. But I do want to make people aware of a veterans ceremony we're having Monday in Jefferson City for all Vietnam veterans. It's time that we make sure and welcome them home properly. And we're having a special recognition ceremony at 1 o'clock at the Disabled American Veterans chapter building on Monticello Road. We're going to have several speakers, Lieutenant Governor Kehoe, the General Compton of the Adjutant General of our National Guard, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, and myself. And then our featured speaker is John Clark from Colombia, who was a POW in Vietnam for 6 years. He's going to share his story. Everyone who comes, all the Vietnam vets, we're going to give them special pins and challenge coins, and just hope it's going to be a special day for them. So I encourage people to come at 1 o'clock. If that's you, go to my website, hartzler.house.gov, to learn more or to officially sign up. But we want you to come even if you don't RSVP. We want to make sure you're welcomed home, and so I wanted to make sure and let the people know about that special event.
All right, and then as soon as we hang up, if you can get one of your folks to email me that info, we will. That's an important event, regardless of politics. 1 o'clock, DAV, Jefferson City. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler running for Senate. Anything else you need to add? We good? We got everything covered. Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
Well, I just appreciate people's prayers for the people of Ukraine and for our nation at this time, and I appreciate their support of me in this race for Senate as well. You can go to my campaign website at VickyHartzler.com to sign up to join with us in our mission to save this country and turn it around. So thank you so much, Branden.
Thank you, Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, 93.9 The Eagle. So
Wake Up Columbia. News, analysis, opinion, and Hannah the producer. 93.9 The Eagle.
Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, particularly in this instance, President Biden has a wishbone where his backbone ought to be.
Senator John Kennedy never fails. He's as good with words as Ukrainian President Zelensky. He's just humorous about it, where Zelensky is incredibly passionate and evokes emotion whenever he talks. That gets us into today's daily D.C. rundown. One story from China. Washington, D.C. expelling another state-owned Chinese phone carrier from the U.S. market over national security concerns amid rising tensions with Beijing. The other story out of China this morning, and a U.S. Olympic figure skater and her father, a former political refugee, among those targeted in a spying operation that the Justice Department says was ordered by the Chinese government. Uncovered some alarming things in local elections. I have that for you coming up at 6:35.
Stop by Club Car Wash today to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details at clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. Ukrainian President Zelensky's plea for a no-fly zone gets more support. Lithuania's parliament unanimously adopting a resolution calling for one, joining Estonia and Slovenia. This as Russian forces continue blasting civilian targets in Ukraine, including a theater in Mariupol housing kids.
Attacks on civilian targets also go on in the eastern city of Kharkiv. A school, according to Ukrainian officials, was destroyed there. We don't believe that any kids or teachers were in that school at the time, but it shows you the kind of targets the Russians continue to look at.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Lviv. And former Empire actor Jussie Smollett freed from jail after serving 6 days.
The judge releasing Smollett on a $150,000 bond, which he will not pay as long as he appears in court when summoned.
Fox's Todd Pyro. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31, 51 our current temperature right now in Columbia. It's 50 degrees in Jefferson City. Going to be sunny today and a high of 76 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here are some of the stories that we are working on for you on this St. Patrick's Day 2022. You'll notice increased police patrols all day today in Missouri's capital city.
Jefferson City police officers are increasing DWI saturation patrols today for St. Patrick's Day. Jefferson City Police Lieutenant Dave Williams tells 93.9 The Eagle that JCPD will have patrols out all day today as they work to keep impaired drivers off the road. Just this week, Jefferson City Police arrested an impaired driver who crashed into a concrete retaining wall on Highway 54 and then failed to yield to emergency vehicles. JCPD officers found more than 2 pounds of marijuana inside that vehicle. That incident happened Tuesday morning at 9. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thanks. Meantime, here in Columbia, a man charged with murder for a 2017 drug-related killing in the Old Hawthorne subdivision will be in court tomorrow. 29-year-old Jeffrey McWilliams charged with second-degree murder for the 2017 death of Augustus Roberts. You'll recall McWilliams was featured on the Food Network's Restaurant Impossible show in 2019. He worked at McLank's. His lawyers filed a motion trying to stop a warrant for his client's DNA. Jury trial April 19th. Columbia's mayor is a big fan of the business loop. He says that it's located on a bus route. The infrastructure is already there. And Tiger John Cleek loses his battle with ALS. Coach Gary Pinkel describes him as a wonderful man, father, and grandfather. News brought to you this hour by MidAmericaMortgage.us. Our time, 6:33. In sports, 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9TheEagle.com. The Mizzou women's basketball team is hosting Drake tonight, opening round of the NIT tournament. First time these two teams have played in Columbia since 1979. To put that in perspective, Jimmy Carter was president the last two teams played in Columbia. It's been a while. Tip-off, 7 o'clock tonight at Mizzou Arena. Mizzou coming into the game 18-12. Drake is 18-13. You'll hear all the action, 6:45. Brad Trinago on the call. There's a player on Drake, number 1. She's off the bench, Hannah Nilgis, McDonald's All-American from Jefferson City High School, 3-time All-District, scored more than 1,000 career points. When she gets hot from the outside, watch out. She might be their best player off the bench, just a freshman. You'll see her tonight on the court, number 1. Mizzou, if they win, will advance, and if you need tickets, they still have them. 1-800-CAT-PAWS is the number 2 call. Sports brought to you this hour by Missouri Heart Center. Comprehensive cardiovascular care in the heart of Missouri. MoHeartCenter.com. Our news time, 6:34. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. The roads right now pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Should not teach anyone that because of your skin color you're a better person or a worse person.
But CRT is not being taught here. It's a non-issue. It's not something that we're doing.
And that's the problem. That's audio from the Jefferson City School Board Candidate Forum. That is always a problem. And I liked one of the respondents saying, yeah, you don't teach that one race is better than another, or that there's this institutional oppression and suppression of that stuff. But anytime you have, because we've been told that by people within the Columbia, we're not teaching CRT. And listen, what these people fail to, there's not a book says, this is CRT 101. This is CRT 201 that you take in the 3rd grade. I have, and I've shared this. I mean, I have stuff sitting on my cell phone right now from students and from teachers or kids saying things like, I would feel bad because I was white. It is happening. They don't call it CRT. These people are so stupid when they say it's not being taught in schools. My goodness. And that's kind of mean to say they're stupid. They're just uneducated. I'm sorry. I apologize. Awfully cranky. But they're uneducated.
Yeah, that's a lot for 6:36 in the morning.
They're uneducated when they say CRT, and maybe it's not being taught at all in Jefferson City schools. I don't know the vibe of Jefferson City schools compared to the Columbia Public School District. But that's a problem. Anytime you hear somebody say, it's not being taught in our schools, that is a problem. Because in a lot of cases, not all of them, it is absolutely being taught. But they think, well, there's no syllabus for this is how you teach CRT. It is absolutely happening. I've uncovered some interesting stuff in some local races. This is interesting. I was chatting with somebody, and they were shocked to hear what happens behind the scenes, even in local elections. I know one individual last year spent over $25,000 trying to get elected to the Columbia Public School Board. I was shocked. $25,000 you've invested to be on the school board, and there's no pay. I don't even think there's a stipend when you're a Columbia Public School Board member. $25,000. We got talking about that. Uncovered some interesting things that are happening today in Columbia. I want to get into that shortly here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9TheEagle.com. I am Branden Rathert. Stephanie Bell back on Monday. There is Mr. Brian Hauswirth. Tell us about John Cleek, man. This guy's a local legend.
He really is, Brandon. And, he's someone that I know at Our Lady of Lourdes, where I go to church. They've been praying for him, the congregation, for a long time. I've not seen him at Mass. Not saying he hasn't gone to Mass, but he's been very, very ill and finally passed away yesterday. He died at about 1:20 in the afternoon. His son speaking to our friend Lucas Geisler. Lucas, I thought, had a really powerful piece on this last night. But just a couple of very quick highlights. He is probably best known for those television commercials and they were kind of funny, and he'd have fun with it about, there's no need for a loan. But he worked very, very hard at the business. Lucas pointed out, his father passed away, and some of our listeners may remember this, especially the older folks, but his father, I believe the father's name was Elmo, as I recall. Elmo Cleek died in a horrific plane crash coming back from the Mizzou-Iowa State game in 1973, and Tiger John Sr. took over the business. He was very young, and he had a young son. I believe that's John Jr. now. That was the young son, and he just he worked long hours, a very hard job, expanded the business, and then so well known for that. But probably to a lot of the people around the state known for the Mizzou football games, and he would always make predictions going by the store. He would predict Mizzou will beat Florida, Mizzou will beat Georgia, etc., and he would put the particular score that he would predict up there. Had ALS. The last time I saw him was at the Bowling for Autism event here in Columbia, and he was not doing too well. He had a hard time. It was back in August. He was in a wheelchair, but I'll say this: he really enjoyed being there, and a wonderful man. But it was hard to see him like that. And Teresa Snow did an interview with him from MU Healthcare about the ALS research, and his speech, he was fighting and fighting. For people that didn't quite understand what Gary Pinkel was saying in the tweet, I totally got it, what he's saying. He never stopped fighting until the end because he could barely speak, and yet he continued to do it. And there are so many people he's helped in this community, some that we all know about, probably a lot we don't, but he's going to be remembered. In the Mizzou, the Mizzou football team honored him at halftime in November. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was really
just,
cool.
4 months ago that happened. And what the lesson I take from that guy, like, he loves something, and he went to Mizzou football games for like over 60 years, something like that, missed 3 or 4 games.
Since 1958.
Since 1958. That's like 60-plus years, man. Yeah. 65 years almost. And only missed a few games, but somebody who loved what they were doing, loved being a part of the community. And I always take this lesson from my grandpa. I remember one time my grandfather and my grandmother, they were at my grandmother's real estate agency. Somebody comes in, wants a donation from my grandparents to pay for basketball uniforms for an inner-city basketball league. Grandparents said, sure. And the kid said, what's the name that you want on the jersey? And my grandpa said, I don't want our name on there. And we had this discussion. I said, Grandpa, that's why you do it. You put your name on it. And he says, no, that's not. That's not why I do it. And we got into this big discussion that, I don't know, I was 10 years old at the time, that to this day, even at the age of 52 or 51. Hannah, how old am I this year? 50?
I don't know. Are you 51?
I think so. I keep saying 52.
What year were you born?
71.
Yeah, so 51.
51. So even at the age of 51, this conversation that I had with my grandfather, who reminds me of Mr. Cleek. Mr. Cleek reminded me of my grandfather. My grandfather said, yeah, I don't do it to put my name on a jersey, and I don't want my name on a jersey. I do it because I live here, too. That's my neighborhood. This is my house. This is my home. I can help. I can do things, and that's what I appreciated about Mr. Cleek. There is Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
Man, bad news for you, and shopping keeps coming. So you've had a second fiasco with shopping. A couple weeks ago, Hannah ordered 5 boxes of mac, and she orders it. They bring it out to her. They open up the trunk, dump all the groceries in there.
Spit it out.
And then she pays them, and she goes home, and then she's got her groceries. So she ordered 5 boxes of mac and cheese about a month ago. And they gave her the wrong mac and cheese. It was unicorns and rainbows macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, and as a 21-year-old, that's offensive.
It's offensive and embarrassing. That's as bad as your mom pulling up to the mall when you're 16, 15 years old, laying on the car horn. Hannah, I'm here, Hannah.
It's not so embarrassing that I didn't eat it, though.
Right.
4 of the 5 boxes have been eaten.
And not so embarrassing that as kids, we still accepted the ride from mom and dad, no matter how badly they embarrassed us. Then the other day, she ordered a bag of chips. She got a trunk full of chips, 5 bags of potato chips. So how did that go yesterday when you went and said, hey, you gave me...
Listen, Listen, you can call me a terrible person all you want. I was not going to go back and say, hey, you gave me 4 extra full-size bag of potato chips.
So the latest thing that could put a dent in your shopping, there's a Walmart, very large Walmart distribution center in Indiana, I think the northern part of the state. Massive fire. As a matter of fact, satellite imagery is capturing the smoke billowing from there. This is actually outside of Indianapolis. And what I'm wondering now is, well, what is this going to do? Like if Hannah, she's buying boxes of rainbow and unicorn macaroni and cheese, this distribution center, and I don't know what the damage is, but a massive fire. I'm wondering, does that mean your grocery prices at Walmart are going to be going up?
Probably wouldn't notice a difference with the way that groceries are.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to sidetrack here real quick.
No. Not you.
Elizabeth Warren, because I do want to get to this stuff, and I'll do it before 7, this stuff on some local races and how nasty they are getting. Elizabeth Warren, talking about, so we've got, since January 20th of 2021, the price of cherub tomatoes went up.
Dude, you've got to let it go.
Gasoline price, everything was going up. That is a fact. You cannot deny that. We had almost near record inflation prior to Ukraine, Russia. Those are facts. That cannot be denied. And I hope you use that when you're talking to people that maybe aren't conservative. You say, listen, here's some facts. I hope you can use this. Here's some facts. This was all happening. All of this money that you are in effect losing, this was happening prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This has been happening since January the 20th of 2021. There is no way you can talk your way out of it, around it. It's a fact. It's there. You cannot get through that. Elizabeth Warren said something yesterday, and I got to tell you, I am inclined to agree with what she said. Because it's something I've been saying here on the show for a while, at least questioning, because I can't prove it. But I think it's a reasonable question to be asked. It's a reasonable assumption. So, yeah, she said something, and I'm like, I agree with you on this particular thing.
Is this one of your conspiracy theories?
On the surface, maybe, but realistically, I don't think so. It's not that deep. It's not that much out of the bounds of reality that, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. So what is it that I agree with Elizabeth Warren about? Something she said yesterday. We'll do that coming up here at 6:50 on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. And also, I've uncovered some really, it seems, nothing illegal, but some really sketchy stuff. Call does it all. Check it out. Today's high. Oh, getting close to 80, more than 75. Probably won't hit 80, but it's going to be warm. And here's what happens, okay? And I know this. I did years in lawn maintenance. It could be February, and all of a sudden one day it hits 70. And you know what would happen at the lawn maintenance company? We'd get all these phone calls in February. Hey, we want to set up lawn service. Well, it's only February. I know, but it's 70 degrees outside today. And you would politely explain to them, well, okay, we can go ahead and we will do that. But we'll see you. It might be another 2 to 3 months before we start seeing you. But that's how it works. People start calling for yard cleanups and stump grinding and things like that. So that's what people are calling Salter now. So I want to give you the heads up so you get in and call them, because they do get packed. They do get busy, because everybody knows that Salter, one call does it all.
People are talking about Branden Rathert.
He's a jackass.
This is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
So what would happen? What would happen if we offered China a Vaccines for Peace program?
That's the financial dude, CNBC's Jim Cramer, giving political advice. What if we smooth things over by saying, hey, we'll give you vaccines, you give us world peace? I didn't see the entire thing, but I think it was Diane Sawyer, Nightline, I don't know, one of the shows, one of those news magazine shows, and they did this thing where they went to somebody's house and they took out the appliances and other items that were made in China. The house was just about empty. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. Coming up April 5th, Tuesday, April 5th, Brianna Lennon telling our news director, Brian Hauswirth, here on 93.9 The Eagle, that she expects 15% turnout. I had a conversation with Brianna yesterday. She is the Boone County clerk, and I happen to personally like her. And I think it was a year ago. We got into this bet, and I don't remember. Hannah might remember better than me because my rememberer don't always work so good. But I thought we'd bet. She said we were expecting like 10% turnout, and I said, I bet we'll get 12%. And I thought we'd bet a steak dinner. So anyhow, we were having a conversation yesterday via text, Brianna Lennon and myself, and it was interesting because I said, "Hey, I think you owe me a steak dinner and all this fun stuff." And here's what she said. I told her I'm taking credit for you saying you think we're going to have a 15% voter turnout. In municipals, I think typically we're like 10 to 12%. So I thought 15% voter turnout. As a matter of fact, I shared this extensively yesterday on the Randy Tobler show, who's here weekdays from 4 to 6. We spoke about this in depth, and here you talk about perspective. Randy thought, what a remarkably low number, 15% voter turnout for a municipal election. He was stunned, and I'm like the exact opposite. I'm like, that's a pretty good projection for a municipal election in Boone County, Missouri.
In the grand scheme of things, though, it's a pitiful number.
Yes, you are correct. So I talked with Brianna. I said, I'm taking credit for you telling Brian Hauswirth that you expect 15% voter turnout based on our bet from the last municipal election. And Brianna, deadpan, says, I always tell people you're the true source of my predictions. I appreciated the sense of humor in that. Locally, so check this out. You know, when it gets into politics, campaigns, it gets nasty. We know this. Nothing new. When it comes to local stuff, my goodness. And there have been a couple of things over the years. This cycle seems to be getting worse. You have people calling people out for infidelity. You have people saying, well, what about the business dealings of this person? And what about the person that's running for the school board in Columbia? What about them? And what about... I've got a hold of a couple of different letters. One purports to be from the Progressive... Has anybody heard of Progressive Teachers of Como? There's a letter that's gone out to the mayoral candidates. And they're talking about a candidate who does not represent the vast majority of the community's values. In this group, Progressive Teachers for Como, the writer of this letter says right now they are a teacher at a high school. God, there's another scary thought. Have been involved with Como for Progress, Moms Demand Action, and the Boone County Democrats. Did all kinds of stuff. The gist of the letter is they did a poll of their group, and they seem to think, in this letter, they say, Randy Minshew will win this race. So is what we need you other candidates to do. We need you all to coalesce behind one candidate. There's nothing illegal, nothing untoward about this. Does it start to border on sketchiness? When you have a progressive group, especially this group, familiar with some of the work of Moms Demand Action, they're just progressive stuff. Progressive teachers for Columbia. That's in our schools, progressive teachers. My goodness. So they're sending out this letter saying, listen, we think that Randy Minshew is going to win. You all need to figure out amongst yourselves who's going to be the one candidate. So in other words, they're trying to tell people and using the influence of their, according to this letter, last night I posted a poll to my progressive teacher group, which has 347 politically engaged members with community connections, is what that is. Those are we call them political threats typically, is what they're saying. You better do what we say, or look, we got 347 voters that know other people in the community. That's a threat. That's what that is. And I don't mean a threat like on a legalistic term. I'm talking within circles of politics. That's just a little threat. Or you could call it's a little prod. Hey, do this because we have 347 voters that are all progressives, and we know the mindset of progressives. They just ain't right. I asked who they would vote for if they had to vote today, and it showed up it was all split, but they said if you all coalesce behind somebody, then somebody could win. Another separate letter, this one, so that one apparently went out to all the candidates in the Columbia mayoral race. Separately, there was a letter signed by somebody. The apparently officials have been contacted, and whoever signed this letter signed it with a fake name, no return address on the envelope. But they're going after a candidate and kind of saying the same thing. We need one strong progressive candidate. So apparently there's another set of folks, who think that Randy Minshew has a real chance to win this race in Columbia, which, being a conservative in a Columbia city election, if that happens, that's remarkable. It really is, because, again, we live in Columbia, Missouri. But this letter, that was posted actually to an individual, says you need to get out of the race, you suck, which is fine. That happens sometimes. But some of the other things that are contained in some of these letters going out to local candidates, you need to get out, you suck. But this other letter also says, Randy Minshew's going to win unless y'all coalesce behind one person. This is happening in town for a mayoral race that pays a $9,000 a year stipend. How about that? I agree with something Elizabeth Warren said. That's coming up at 7:10.
Survivors in the Rubble. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. People are emerging alive from a theater being used as a shelter in Mariupol, Ukraine, hit by a Russian airstrike, according to Ukraine's government. The Russians deny it.
We are getting word from local officials that the shelter, which was built underneath the theater, was largely intact. So we don't know how many civilians were down there sheltering. Signs that were written on the ground saying very clearly children were just ignored by the Russians.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Lviv, Ukraine. There's another emergency United Nations Security Council meeting today about Ukraine. Here's Fox's Evan Brown.
Chris, 6 nations, including the U.S., the U.K., and France, are asking for open time at the United Nations Security Council to talk once again about Russia's war on Ukraine. Exactly what the topics would be is not yet known, but it may have to do with Friday's scheduled vote on a humanitarian aid resolution. That resolution itself is now the subject of great criticism as it is written by the Russians, and nowhere in its text does it mention Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russia is still a permanent member of the UN Security Council. Chris?
Evan, Jeff Zients is stepping down as President Biden's COVID-19 response coordinator. He's being replaced by Dr. Ashish Jha. He's Brown University's Dean of Public Health. President Biden's St. Patrick's Day meeting with Ireland's Prime Minister today is canceled.
Prime Minister Micheál Martin had to leave the Ireland Fund's 30th National Gala in Washington last night after getting told he had tested positive for COVID. Also at that event, President Joe Biden, but a White House spokesperson said the two were not in close contact. However, Politico reports Martin was photographed sitting without a face mask next to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Fox's Jill Nato. NASA's Artemis 1 rocket's being slowly rolled out to the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center in Florida today. It's 332 feet tall, being sent to the moon sometime in May or this summer. America's listening to Fox News.
Near historically low mortgage rates may not last forever. If you're in the market for a new home or your dream home, go with a lender you can count on. For competitive rates, over 300 loan products, and thousands of loan consultants to help make sure you get the home and the mortgage that you want. Call now to see if you're pre-approved. 866-888-LOAN. 866-888-LOAN. Or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03. Beautiful morning right now. 52 here in Columbia. It's 50 degrees in Jefferson City. Our sunrise this morning at 7:18. It sets tonight 7:18 as well. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. We begin with a murder trial happening at the Boone County Courthouse. A jury of 8 men and 5 women hearing the Columbia murder trial taking place at the courthouse. David Myers charged with second-degree murder for the June 2020 death of 39-year-old Anthony Lockwood on Sycamore Hills. That is near Creasy Springs, north of Columbia. The Boone County Medical Examiner's Office testified Wednesday that Lockwood had meth and alcohol in his system when he died. However, the examiner's office also testified that meth did not contribute to Lockwood's death, that it was a stab wound from a sharp instrument that killed him. I was in the courtroom yesterday for the opening statements and for the testimony. There were graphic photos shown in court, and testimony indicated the victim also may have been dragged along a gravel road. It's unclear if that happened before or after he was killed. The jury was shown those photos. Defense attorney David Kirshner is arguing it was self-defense. Boone County Circuit Judge Brooke Jacobs is presiding over this trial. It will continue here in about an hour, and he is allowing jurors to take notes during the trial. They've been taking extensive notes. Also in Columbia, an April 19th jury trial is scheduled for another Columbia man who's charged in connection with a separate incident, a separate murder. This one, a 2017 drug-related killing in Old Hawthorne. This one is 29-year-old Jeffrey McWilliams. He is charged with second-degree murder, robbery, and armed criminal action for the death of Augustus Roberts. Mr. Roberts died in a home in the 1900 block of Lasso Circle back in 2017. McWilliams pleading not guilty in February, Boone County Circuit Court. You'll recall he was featured on the Food Network's Restaurant Impossible show in 2019 while he worked at McLank's in Columbia. He also at one time ran an ice cream shop in East Columbia. The ice cream store has since closed down as well. Our news partner ABC 17 reported in 2019 that a DEA investigation alleged that Robert's homicide was tied to a drug trafficking scheme. A pair of kayakers had to be rescued from the Missouri River in Jefferson City on Wednesday.
2 women have to be pulled from the Missouri River at the Norton Access at Jefferson City. The pair were in a tandem kayak. One person had to be taken by an ambulance to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A man at the scene identified himself as the kayaker's friend and said the two were there training for a race. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
John, thanks. Mizzou superfan Tiger John Cleek has lost his battle with ALS. He passed away yesterday at University Hospital in Columbia. Thousands of Mizzou football fans, you'll recall, honored Mr. Cleek during a November football game at Buffaloe Field. A message was played on the video board during the game at halftime. ABC 17 News reports Mr. Cleek Sr. began working at the store at the age of 15, that he passed away yesterday. He only missed 3 football games at Buffaloe since 1958, between 1958 and last year. And Columbia's mayor describes the business loop as a commercial strip of innovators, makers, and manufacturers.
You've got Wave Cider here that adds a cool vibe. You've got some great anchor tenants like Mac, like Parkade, like Boone Electric Co-op.
Boone Electric is building its massive new headquarters near the business loop in I-70. That project is expected to be done by late summer, early fall. Moberly Area Community College has built a state-of-the-art lab at Parkade, referenced there by the mayor. Our news is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory. They're in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and any day. You can find them online. thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team hosting Drake tonight in the opening round of the NIT tournament. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock at Mizzou Arena in Columbia. Mizzou coming in with a record of 18-12. Drake coming in at 18-13. Catch all the action tonight on KTGR FM 100.5. You'll hear all the action with Brad Trinago courtside with the call on the Central Bank Tiger Radio Network. They do their pregame coverage at 6:45. There's still tickets if you'd like to go to the game and need tickets. 1-800-CAT-PAWS is the number to call. Sports brought to you by the Master of Disaster with the Big Yellow Van. Adam Kinzer, ServiceMaster of Columbia.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. And our weather brought to you by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. It's 52 degrees. 708 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. They're a sponsor of your traffic check this morning. Roads are pretty quiet right now in mid-Missouri. If you do want to report a traffic issue, 874-9390, 573 the area code. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Firmly believe we need to increase pay for great teachers. And I think we should look at incentives. I think we should look at ways to find savings in administration.
If we don't invest in our teachers, there is no one coming up behind them that can perform the service that they perform every day.
We need to reward teachers and pay teachers for doing that. Excellent teachers should absolutely be paid more, but part of the compensation package that you're talking about is, and the way to keep and retain teachers is to hire good ones and to trust them.
That's audio from last night's Jefferson City School Board Candidate Forum. This is in Jefferson City. Adam Gresham, Mark Ellinger, Ann Warren and Erica Leonard, 4 folks running for 2 seats there. And in Columbia, check this out. I've uncovered over the past less than 15 hours ago, a letter that's been sent out to the mayoral candidates of Columbia from Progressive Teachers of Como. This is a Facebook group. It's Mackenzie Everett Kennedy. And in this letter that she is sending out, I don't know if she sent it to all of the candidates, but I do know that she sent it to what she would call, I guess, the progressive candidates. And she goes, and I want to share some of this with you because this is happening in local politics, not illegal. And Brian's probably got a story or two of some dastardly deeds he's seen in campaigning over the years, whether state, national politics. So we'll get into that here shortly.
Sure.
But and I don't think there's anything illegal here. This happens. But so it's a letter. And it's sent to everybody. And it's what they are doing. They sent it to everybody but Randy Minshew. And in this letter, they are afraid, they fear a potential Randy Minshew victory. And they're encouraging the remaining candidates, it's saying, you figure it out. We just need one of you. A couple of you need to drop out. She is a member. She's the administrator on the Facebook page for Progressive Teachers of Columbia. She's been involved with Como for Progress. One day, I believe progressive is going to be like a pejorative term one day. I really do believe that. Like, it'll be a bad word. Did you hear what Rathert said on the, it'd be like it'll be 2032, and I'm still here doing Wake Up Columbia. Hauswirth will still be here. Hannah, the producer, everybody will still be here. And somebody, Branden Rathert. He got suspended for a few days from Wake Up Columbia because he said the word progressive. Because there are some people that get triggered by a string of letters being put together that forms some word. People one day, they're going to be triggered. They're going to get upset because we're using the word progressive. I believe that. That's a steak bet dinner by 2032. Progressive will be a bad word.
A steak bet dinner.
Steak bet. It's a steak dinner bet. 2032. By 2032, progressive will be a bad, bad word. So anyhow, Progressive Teachers of Como, again, it gives you some insight into some of what's happening in schools. This person says she's been involved with Como for Progress, Moms Demand Action, Boone County Democrats, and goes on. I write letters to newspapers. I contact state and national level political leaders and write editorials to our local papers. I also gained many community contacts after my students and I were featured in an article. I share all of this information to specifically highlight the many community connections I have, which again, I go back to, it's this. When I say this is a threat, this is not like a physical or a legalistic term of threat, but in politics, it's something that's used quite often. Somebody will say, I own a multi-million-dollar business. I would appreciate if you would backtrack and change your stance on the whole bathroom issue, which we saw happened in Jefferson City several years ago. There were some candidates, or not candidates, but people in the Missouri State Legislature were getting money from Anheuser-Busch. And they were, hey, it's got to be boys in this bathroom, girls in this bathroom. Anheuser-Busch said, we're not really too keen on that idea as our company. That does not reflect our values. We think everybody should use whatever bathroom. And the implication was, change your support. And there were some lawmakers that absolutely, in Jefferson City that year, changed their support because of the threat. Again, I want to tamp down the use of the word threat, but because of that threat. Somebody says, hey, I've got money, which is I have contacts, I'm connected, and I have a face group with 347 people in it. So this letter goes on. From this somebody related to all of this, member of the highly engaged online group Progressive Teachers for Como. They go on to say, basically, y'all need to figure it out because we are afraid. See, they're fearful. Spent a lot of their time in fear, too. We're afraid Randy Minshew is going to win. And what struck me, I'm like, and if this Teachers for Progress, Progressive Teachers of Como. So these are teachers in classrooms. Here's the thing. Again, this is not illegal. This kind of thing happens all the time. I'm getting callous to the fact that it even happens locally now. I mean, I say accusations, but there's truths out there about local candidates, infidelity and financial stuff and this. And there's a lot of truths to a lot of these things out there. But these are teachers in a classroom. So here's what strikes me about this letter. They're asking these candidates to get together and just put one forward. And that's a smart political move. I hope none of them are teaching government or civics, because that's not a democracy. It's not a republic. When you're instead of letting the voters have their say, hey, here's the candidates, have your say. These people that are affiliated with us, teachers, progressive teachers of Como, are encouraging these are teachers in our schools here in town, encouraging these people, hey, don't let the democratic process play out. You all figure it out. And I get it. That's politics. That's how it works. It just concerns me that it's teachers.
There's one other aspect of that. That's the first I've heard of that. That is interesting, and appreciate you bringing it to our attention. But the other thing about that letter is that even if they did get together, even if the other candidates did get together and settle on one, the bottom line, we have confirmed this with Brianna Lennon, all the votes that any of these candidates are going to get will count. And we actually, Maria Apollo, who was on with us, I told her on the air, I thought that her votes would still count, and I checked on it, and they will. So even if that were to happen, these other, let's say three of them now, although the fourth one that's dropped out, her votes still count. They'll still count, and people inevitably are going to see them on their ballot. So I'm not sure I understand the timing on that, because it's too late to take any names off the ballot at this point.
These are from teachers. You would think a teacher would know that. Hey, listen, the ballots are out. The names are on there. People are going to vote for who's on the ballot. These are teachers in the Columbia Public School District, I suppose.
Now, did you actually pull up the Facebook group?
Yep.
Did you read the little about this group section?
And I'm glad you caught it.
There's a lot of really good stuff in there. The first sentence, the purpose of this group is to act as a safe space
it is.
Progressive K-12 educators in Columbia, Missouri, to share articles, content, questions, concerns, and calls to action. And then later on it says, please feel free to invite fellow Como educators who share our, in all capital letters, progressive values to this private group. Administrators are welcome to this group, but will be vetted to ensure group members will feel safety of expression with a particular administrator in the group.
Wow. That's all the buzzwords for the crazy progressives.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff right here in mid-Missouri, man. Another letter went out. And I don't know, because somebody has signed a name to it. They've been tracked down. There's no return address. There's a name cannot be found, especially on voter rolls, that matches the person who signed this different letter. This was sent to a specific candidate. Your mayoral race has no traction. You have X amount of dollars. This candidate has X. And again, they mention Randy Minshew in this letter. I guess because here's the thing. I would vote for Randy Minshew. But being a conservative running for a citywide office in Columbia, it's always two different questions. Who would you vote for, Branden? Well, I'd vote for Randy Minshew. Do you think he would win? Would be probably a different answer for any office, and that's the way it's been for years here on Wake Up Columbia. Two different questions. Who do I want to win, and who do I think will win? We are in the city of Columbia, Missouri. Things just different here. But this letter also mentions, so I guess there's a lot of fear out there about Minshew. Which I guess is really a good thing. But this person is asking this, and this was sent to an individual, at least one that I'm aware of. Your candidacy has no traction. It's not even a long shot. Minshew has X amount of money. Please consider suspending your election bid and get behind one candidate. So there's the common theme in these two letters that are going out here in town. Get behind one candidate who might have a chance to stop Mr. Minshew. So there's apparently a lot of fear, even in the progressive circles, when you have progressive teachers of Como sending out letters. When you have somebody else saying, hey, y'all need to get together, apparently there's a lot of fear out there. Off the text, 874-9390. Gary, takes a while longer for a dumber progressive to learn as opposed to a smart progressive.
You know, if you're Randy Minshew right now, are you wearing this like a badge of honor?
Is it like being kicked off of YouTube?
Right? Like, you know, you have everyone so riled up that they're sending letters out about you.
Yeah.
Try to get everyone to team up to work against you.
Yeah, that's It's like getting suspended from YouTube or Twitter. Hey, look, man, I have people are talking about me. We have more than one person. By the way, I want to fact check something. To be fair, I said the progressive teachers of Como, who apparently one of the persons who wrote the letter to the candidate saying, "Hey, y'all got to get behind one because Randy's going to win." I said they have 347 members in the Facebook group. I undersold that, and I apologize. What's the exact number?
329.
Oh, I oversold it then. Okay, so it's 329. So
Unless we're looking at different Facebook groups.
Coming up, let me do this really quick before we get into what's hot with Hannah. By the way, Wake Up Columbia. There's Hannah. I'm Branden. Brian Hauswirth is here. Stephanie Bell is back on Monday. Elizabeth Warren said something that I actually agree with because we've said it a couple of times here on the show. Because here's the thing. Biden has started using this language. It's the Putin price hike. Putin price hike. And it's talking points out of the White House. Yesterday, right? Putin.
Try to say that 5 times fast.
Putin price hike. MSNBC, at least twice yesterday, used the exact same language. We joke, everybody gets together in D.C. and say, okay, everybody use this word today. Use this phrase. But we know it's not a Putin price hike. And we know, if we're all being honest with ourselves and with other people, yeah, there have been some price hikes, especially on gasoline. But the price hike started January 20th, 2021. So Elizabeth Warren here, she's blaming it's COVID. That's why this is going on. But she puts another ball into the equation here, and it's something we've said before, and I agree with her.
But what has also happened is that now that we live in America where there's a lot more concentration in certain industries, look at the oil industry, look at meat industry, look at groceries generally, that what's happened is these companies have said, we'll pass along costs, but while we're at it and everyone's talking about rising costs, let's just add an extra big dollop of cost increases to expand our profits.
I absolutely agree that happens. We've said it before here on the show. There's some of these companies, everybody, prices going up, prices, our cherub tomatoes went up $1, Mr. Rathert, because, and then I believe, and I don't have anything that would prove it, I bet there's some out there that, they are absolutely, some folks, not everybody, they are absolutely, hey, while we're doing.
Have you ever gotten a tattoo for a significant other and regretted it?
Pumping and hydrojetting, Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. This is what they do. They help folks here in mid-Missouri. They do grease traps, too. As a matter of fact, when you're driving through town, like some of the biggest and most well-known restaurants and other institutions in town, some of those folks, names we know and recognize and trust here in the community, those organizations, those restaurants, those institutions, they trust Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting for things like grease trap cleaning. And they do other things, too. A couple of years ago, I got to spend some time working with them and actually got to go to somebody's house where they had to put one of those little cameras on a snake camera down through the sewage system to go up through the sewage line to find out what the problem was. It was remarkable, but they helped people, and that's what they do. Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. By the way, they do servicing on septic tanks and lagoons. Check them out online, pro-pumping.com.
Wake Up Columbia with an eye on the world and a focus on you. 93.9 The Eagle.
Without President Biden, there would not be 30 countries around the world providing security and military assistance.
That's enough. If Joe Biden weren't in office, this stuff would be happening. That's coming out of the White House, man. Welcome into the show, Wake Up Columbia, Come On Man show this weekend, $20 at the door. It's brought to you by a whole bunch of folks, including Shepherd's Distributing, Doolittle Trailer Manufacturing, and Sidon, Stricker, Noby. Head Motor Company is going to be there. Bass River Resort, Mid-Missouri Cigar Company. $20 at the door, Saturday, Holiday Inn Executive Center, 10 to 3. But if you were to get online right now and buy tickets, 939theeagle.com, I'll get you $5 off. 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
This is going to sound like a celebrity gossip column for just a second, but bear with me, okay?
I'm listening.
So Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson has been kind of in the news because he's recently started a relationship with Kim Kardashian, who just divorced Kanye West, okay? Are you with me? He is making more headlines because he already has tattoos of, like, Kim's name and stuff. But to make matters worse...
Pete does or Kanye?
Pete.
Okay.
Yes. Pete also, like, branded Kim's name on his chest.
Uh-oh.
And they have not been together very long.
Uh-oh.
So my question for the Wake Up Columbia family is, A, have you ever gotten a tattoo for a significant other and regretted it? But also, should people get tattoos or brands done of, like, significant others' names at all?
Man, that's a good question. Anybody here in Missouri this morning gotten a tattoo of somebody else's name because of a relationship and then boop?
Or even, like, is that a good idea for people to do it all?
I have on my right tricep, I have a tattoo of one of my sobriety dates from February of 2005 when I thought I had quit drinking, and I didn't, so it's not really accurate. But people will see it now. They see the tattoo. They say, what does that say? It says February 15th, 2005. And they say, what does that signify? I say, that's the date I decided to stop drinking. And then they'll say, but you didn't. I say, exactly. It's not when I did it. It's when I decided to, not when I did it. Coming up, Columbia mayoral candidate Barbara Buffaloe is joining us here on the show. ABC 17 storm track forecast, 76 today. There may be some rain, 50 tomorrow. Right now it is 53. Stop by Club Car Wash. Get an unlimited membership, only $20 a month. More details, clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Liu. Russian ground forces could be getting strong pushback from Ukrainian ones, but in the air, they continue pounding civilian targets, hitting, for instance,
in the southern city of Mariupol, a theater that was being used as a bomb shelter, a theater that was clearly marked outside with the words children to try to ward off any Russian strike. It did not work. We are hearing that an intense rescue effort is underway there now.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Lviv. And President Biden announcing the White House COVID-19 response coordinator Jeff Zients is set to leave next month. He'll be replaced by Dr. Ashish Jha, Dean of Brown School of Public Health. The president crediting Zients, who he tapped for the position at the start of last year, with helping get 80% of adults fully vaccinated and other progress. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 87:31, clear skies, 52 right now in Columbia. Our high today around 76 degrees on this St. Patrick's Day. Showers tonight with a low near 47. Tomorrow, rain again, high near 50. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. In Jefferson City, you will see increased police patrols all day today in the capital city.
Jefferson City police officers are increasing DWI saturation patrols today for St. Patrick's Day. Jefferson City Police Lieutenant Dave Williams tells 93.9 The Eagle that JCPD will have patrols out all day today as they work to keep impaired drivers off the road. Just this week, Jefferson City Police arrested an impaired driver who crashed into a concrete retaining wall on Highway 54 and then failed to yield to emergency vehicles. JCPD officers found more than 2 pounds of marijuana inside that vehicle. That incident happened Tuesday morning at 9. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Meantime, a Columbia man charged with murder in a 2017 drug-related killing in Old Hawthorne will appear in court tomorrow. He is 29-year-old Jeffrey McWilliams. He's charged with second-degree murder for the December 2017 death of Augustus Roberts. McWilliams' lawyers filed a motion to try to stop a warrant for his client's DNA. McWilliams was featured, you'll recall, on Restaurant Impossible, the Food Network, back in 2019. Former Mizzou football coach Gary Pinkel says no one loved Mizzou more than Tiger John Cleek. The longtime Columbia businessman lost his battle with ALS on Wednesday. Our news is brought to you this morning by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates, WillettDentalAssociates.com. Our news time, 7:33. In sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team is hosting Drake tonight, opening round of the NIT tournament. Tip-off is set for 7 at Mizzou Arena in Columbia. Mizzou coming into the game with a record of 18-12. Drake with a record of 18-13. Now, Drake traditionally is recruited in mid-Missouri. A couple of years ago, they had a couple of players from the Eldon area. This year, and she shoots from the outside. She'll come off the bench. Hannah Nilgis, number 1. You can't miss her tonight on the court. She is an outstanding shooter for Drake. 1,000 career points at Jeff City High School. Played with the Linthicum girls, if you remember. And she was a member of what's called the Missouri Phenom Club and a McDonald's All-American Game nominee. One of their best outside shooters. She'll come off the bench tonight. Again, pregame coverage, 6:45. Brad Trinago on the call. If you want tickets to the game, they still have them. 1-800-CAT-PAWS is the number to call. Sports is brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. Our news time, 7:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Really, the only traffic issue to report was earlier this morning. ABC 17 Zola Crowder reporting a vehicle slammed into a light post on Range Line, knocked it down. No reports of any serious injuries there. That tied up traffic a little bit, but that was at 3 o'clock in the morning. That has since been cleared. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I don't think I've seen this much unity in Congress in a long time. He gave a forceful, moving, engaging advocacy for the people of Ukraine and a plea to us to help close his skies.
To Republican Senator Chris Coons, following the speech yesterday by the Ukrainian president. What a great speech it was. We spoke with Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler earlier this morning. She was there. She's in D.C. this morning. She gave us her reaction this morning on 93.9 The Eagle after being there for that speech. And I thought it was great comments by the Senator Chris Coons. Talking about right now, I've seen a lot of unity in Washington, D.C. I want to bring in Columbia mayoral candidate Barbara Buffaloe. And Barbara, let's start with national politics here real quick. Now, and I was like, are you going to ask me about the Ukraine? No, here's the thing. So, I was like, wow, this job got a lot broader than I expected. Man, it's difficult enough to get a handle on everything locally that people are concerned about. Now I got to answer questions about Ukraine. Who the hell is this Branden Rathert guy? But let me ask you, kind of related, but not related. It does seem you've got the senator saying there's some unity amongst, he said, at least in D.C., but maybe even American people, that maybe here's something that we, regardless of political stuff, we can agree upon. And rally together. Do you agree with the senator's comments?
Yeah. And I would bring it down to the local level. You know, if you're following the 19,000 forums we've all been doing, all the candidates are pretty supportive of one another. You know, we have differing views on some key issues, but for the most part, everybody's being very civil and nice to one another. Yeah. So, yeah. And I want to come back to that for the most part thing that you said. Barbara Buffaloe, running for mayor of Columbia. There's already been, as a matter of fact, I was at the forum Monday. I came in there for. You were there for like a hot minute. So, but I saw you walk in, walk across the back, and like leave. Yeah. So I assumed maybe I just couldn't see you. So no, it's true because
It was the homeless conversation.
Things going on?
No, so here's what I did,
yeah.
Barbara. I left, and I went outside, because when I went in, there were homeless people milling around, and I heard what you guys were saying about homelessness and how we fix it, and then I went out and I talked to the homeless people and got their thoughts. And I tell you...
because loaves and fishes. Oh, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Brad. I was just going to say, Brad Bryant, the pastor there, he purposely set the time for the forum so that it would overlap with loaves and fishes.
Yeah.
So that the candidates, before they went in and started talking about this, that they got to feel uncomfortable.
Well,
and I thought it was brilliant because, right, if you're going to be talking about policies serving people, you need to get out there and talk to the people that you're talking about.
And you know, I am a huge proponent of that. We recently did a homelessness roundtable on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page with Love Columbia, a formerly homeless family, and a guy who is homeless right now in Boonville. And that's why I'm glad that we're bringing this up, because I left the forum and I went outside and I talked to these homeless people. Yeah. I've told you I've done a documentary on homelessness, and I got to tell you, Barbara, and I think I've said this to you before, so I don't think we're swapping any new ideas here. A lot of what these homeless people are saying is vastly different than several of our mayoral candidates, vastly different than what several of you are saying. Here's how we solve homelessness. Number one, so I spoke with 4 people. 3 of them said, no, I don't want to be in a homeless shelter. Number 1 said, yeah, we could, but And that's just my conversation with 4 homeless people, but I will also add this. Our homeless friend Ed in Boonville, lives under a bridge in Boonville, also doesn't want to be. And that's consistent. In my years of working with homelessness, for the most part, they don't want this.
And and that's the whole idea, though, is like, you know, there's different needs for different people.
Sure, yeah.
And so I think when you talk to, especially those like at Love Columbia, you know, I mean, which we can all agree that Jane Williams is like going to be sainted, you know.
Yeah, they do. I love what Love Columbia does, because they help people. But the other thing they do is they give you tools, so hopefully you don't get back into this situation again.
Well, and that's what she's talking about with Voluntary Action Center and with Columbia Housing Authority. And when they're talking about this opportunity campus, is not for it to be a sort of like all the time just a shelter. It's those wraparound services that are what most people are excited about, is that, you know, having that ability, like if you do need, you know, help, if you do need some resources just to help get something going, yes. But then to go back to your earlier point, yes, treating people with dignity and what they want. And when you talk to some that are, you know, we're going to like the Wabash station for when it was below freezing temperatures outside, the reason why they don't go to the shelters is that they feel the trauma from how they've been treated there from people. And so they don't necessarily want to go back to those. And so that's, I imagine, similar people that you're talking with.
Barbara Buffaloe, running for mayor of Columbia, joining us this morning on 93.9 The Eagle. It's Wake Up Columbia. I'm Branden Rathert. Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer, is here. Stephanie Bell is back on Monday. Well, and then the other thing that I hear a lot is people are homeless a lot. Not all of them, but a lot of them, a vast majority, in my opinion, my experiences in Columbia, Boise, Idaho, and Pensacola, Florida, they want to be homeless. They don't want to be in shelters because they're homeless because of the freedom. When you go into a shelter, you've got to follow rules. You got to sleep with all these other people. You have to be in by this time, out by this time. You can't be outside milling around. I want to mention this because I know it's something important to you. You know my stance. I just don't think we should be throwing a whole bunch of taxpayer dollars at this. But here's the thing that gets me. City council meeting about 3 weeks ago, this lady gets up and she speaks. And she's talking about how there's so many people that are concerned about this, people in our churches and in neighborhoods and schools. There's a lot of people talking about what can we do to solve the homeless problem. And I'm like, well, then if you have this many people that are passionate about it, organize some kind of private effort. I think you're full of crap when you get up, not you, Barbara, but this individual, when you get up in a city council meeting, there's so many people concerned about this and I'm so concerned about it. If you're that concerned, you need to get out and make some kind of private effort to help homeless people. I don't believe a lot of these people want to help homeless people. They're just saying, oh, I want to help the homeless. Look at me. I'm beautiful. You want to talk about something else? There's nothing new here between the two of us, is there?
I was just gonna say in that instance, you know, it probably also, it's an overwhelming situation and scenario. So I imagine that person could be helping, but you still see the demand and the need, and you just think like, you know, and so I bet there's like it's a mixture, right? There are private groups working on this. Yeah. But it's still an overwhelming need, and, you know, their heart is in it.
Yeah. I just...
do you want to talk about trash, though, Branden?
Gosh, we could do that. But I want to go back to something you kind of mentioned. Are you for one-word answer, 4 roll carts or against?
Oh, you know, I already have a roll cart, Branden. We talked about this months ago.
I know. I'm just
You're funny.
So other people, maybe we have newer listeners to Wake Up Columbia, wanting to get your stance. So you're
What? You're not just the same every morning. I think you lie.
You're 4 roll carts.
And I'm for, and I totally understand the need that some people it's harder in their spaces, right?
I know.
But we just need to be able to make a decision, y'all.
Yep. And here's the thing, Barbara. I was joking. I said this to Randy Minshew yesterday. I think that there could be a mayoral candidate that could run on the sole issue of roll carts and trash collection in town, and it could win on that one issue. But let's move forward. When we first started hanging out a few minutes ago, you said and then there have been a lot of forums. There's been, 2 already this week? 3? 2?
Oh, you said this week. I was going to say, I think there's been 6 so far. But yes, 2 this week.
2 this week.
Wait, 3.
6.
3. No, there were 3 because there was a third one last night.
Yeah.
Disabilities Coalition had one.
3
you
this
saw
week.
Randy yesterday because he was not there last night. So I was like, uh-oh. I was worried he had a scratchy throat on Tuesday. And I was like, if he gave me COVID, he's on my list.
Yeah, I don't know. He was here on the show yesterday morning.
Oh, okay. Well, did he sound okay? I'm hoping he's okay. I imagine he's okay. Sorry.
Are you done, Barbara?
I'm done, Branden. Like, where is he?
You talk a lot. Barbara, this is...
You do, too.
This is Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Let me talk. Where was I, Hannah? No, I'm lost. Oh.
Yeah, you were busy also talking a lot like you always do.
Yeah. So you said the candidates, the forums, everybody is, you said, been decent, been nice for the most part.
Oh, no. I said that we agree on a lot of things for the most part. Everyone's been decent for the most part.
Right. Everyone's been decent.
Everyone has been decent. Sorry.
Right. So apparently some candidates, you've been getting letters encouraging you to drop out and coalesce behind a candidate. Can you tell me what you have found in this particular letter that I'm referring to from the progressive Como teachers? Did you get a copy of this letter?
I got a comment, but it's not the first. They're not the only. I've gotten, other emails or phone conversations when talking to people. And my response is always just, look, our system in Columbia, this is what it is. Yeah. Our system in Columbia, this is how we elect our candidates. Yep. And so each candidate brings something different to the process, and we all focus on what we think we can bring to the office and how we think we're going to win it. So,
well, that's the thing that I thought was kind of disturbing was this is at least whoever is writing this letter, and I don't know if it's the head of this progressive teachers for Como. I don't know if it's her, but whoever wrote it, these are teachers, or at least one of them is, and they're discouraging a democratic process. We go and vote. What they're doing is not illegal. Just interesting. Let me ask you this: have you gotten any threats, any nasty letters? Because I know it's been happening with some candidates, and I guess it probably happens in most elections. But we're talking about things happening right here in Columbia. Some of this nasties. Have you experienced any of that? Have you gotten any threats, any nasty letters? Anybody encouraging you to drop out?
No, I've gotten no threats or nasty letters. I mean, I've gotten letters or their emails. Come on now. I don't get many letters anymore except for asking for charitable donations. But I think the interesting thing for this one is that the people are just asking, they're just asking us, what are the thoughts? What are you going forward? And we just always focus on, hey, look, I'm running my campaign because I have the most experience of any of the candidates, with how city government works, right. And I know what we could do better. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm focusing on and why I'm going door to door almost every day.
But Barbara, have you, and I know you're doing it, I know you're passionate about the city, even though we disagree on a lot of stuff. We agree on a couple of things. And I do know you're passionate about Columbia. But the question, have you gotten any threats? Have you had people?
No threats.
No threats. Anybody encouraging you to drop out of the race?
No.
Nobody. What about?
But I've gotten those emails. I've said come together with other people, but it's not. I don't view that as a threat or asking me to drop out.
So
lots of coalitions get formed in the election, you know.
And I understand that. Have there been any conversations between, and both of these, by the way, two different letters that I'm aware of. There might be more out there, but they're both concerned about Randy Minshew. They both say, hey, you guys need to coalesce, you being you, David Seaman, and Tanya Heath, you guys need to coalesce. Otherwise, Randy Minshew is going to win. Have the three of you, Tanya, David Seaman, have the three of you had any conversations about, hey, maybe two of us should drop out and we'll throw our support behind Meeny Miny Mo? Have the three of you had any of those conversations?
We have not.
Okay.
We have not. And in fact, it was really sweet on Saturday. You know, Tanya was like, y'all, we're still in, right? And so she's, her heart's in it too. So,
yeah. As a matter of fact, I spoke with Tanya Heath yesterday, and she's passionate about this too. And David Seaman, Marine, guessing he's passionate about it too. Randy Minshew, I'm guessing you're all passionate about it. Barbara, I got to get going here because I'm running behind because you talk a lot, woman. Anything? I'm always running behind. Anything you would like to add before we let you go?
No, I would just say I would encourage all voters to look at the issues of each of the candidates and just pick who they think will lead the city best.
All right, Barbara, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah. Good morning, Branden.
All right, we'll see you. Have a great day. Coming up at
Catch Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime, all the time at 9390eagle.com.
There is an ongoing sort of formal process before you can use this term. So something must have changed for the president to feel like he could take this additional step today. What? What else is he seeing?
The president was answering a direct question that was asked and responding to what he has seen on television. We have all seen.
All right, that's where we're getting our national intelligence from. Joe's watching TV. So that's a reporter asking Jen Psaki yesterday. So Joe Biden used the phrase, yes, Putin is a war criminal. Why is he using that now? And Jen says, well, because he's watching TV. So based on watching MSNBC at night, Joe is he's a war criminal. That's where our national intelligence comes from. Well, Joe Biden is getting national intelligence from the same place we are getting it from. By the way, that story regarding Biden saying, Putin is a war criminal. Something interesting to that, because I haven't heard that even on Fox News, which is coming up here at 8 o'clock. The mothership has been covering this story this morning. I think there's more context. So this is the comment that's getting a lot of traction.
I think he is a war criminal.
He is a war criminal. And I know it's kind of noisy. He's walking out. It's not really a press gaggle or anything. He just got done giving a speech, people milling around. And he was asked, do you think that Putin is a war criminal?
I think he is a war criminal.
He is a war criminal. But what I haven't seen, and what I want you to be aware of, in case this comes up today, he was asked this question just like moments before. Fox News reporter saying, do you think Vladimir Putin is a war criminal?
Christine, are you ready to call Putin a war criminal? No.
Are you ready to call Putin a war criminal? Joe's answer.
No.
No. And then just a few moments goes by. Joe Biden goes back to this reporter, seeks out this reporter, and says, hey, what was your question to me? Do I think Putin is a war criminal?
I think he is a war criminal.
He is a war criminal. So I think probably what happened is one of his handlers is by him, and this reporter says, are you ready to call Putin a war criminal? No. And he says it emphatically and with passion and quickly. That's his answer. No, I, the president of the United States of America, I don't think Putin is a war criminal. You heard him say it. Somebody must have swatted him on the rear end and said, Joe, you got to give a different answer, because that's, number one, it's dumb. Number two, you look bad. He went back and sought out that reporter. Asked that reporter, what did you ask me? Changed his answer. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. I am Branden. Rathert. Something we can do for you, 874-9390. I hope that you are making plans to join us at the Como Man Show coming up this Saturday. Holiday Inn Executive Center. It's only $20 at the door. Now, if you get onto our website, 939theeagle.com, I'll get you $5 off. They're only $15 this Saturday. Side and Stricker Noby, Shepherd's Distributing, Doolittle Trailer helping us out with this. Renewal by Anderson is going to be there. Also, Hatton Vermeer Sales. They'll be joining us. There's food, beverages, free music, contests, just all big event Saturday. Holiday Inn Executive Center. By the way, Trump says this guy would not be my running mate in 2024 if I run again, pretty much confirming that it would not be Mike Pence.
COVID coordinator. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. President Biden announces a change at the top of his coronavirus team after 14 months. Here's Fox's Jared Halpern live.
The White House pandemic coordinator Jeff Zients will step down from that role next month. Zients was tasked with leading the Biden administration's efforts to build a response infrastructure, ramping up vaccinations, testing, and treatments. In a statement, President Biden announced the dean of Brown University School of Public Health, Dr. Ashish Jha, will serve as the new COVID-19 response coordinator, executing a new phase of the pandemic to manage ongoing risk. Chris.
Jared, new unemployment claims are down 214,000 last week, according to the Labor Department. That's down 15,000 from the week before. Americans still on unemployment, 419,000. That is down 71,000. We've entered week 4 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
We are getting indications and some intelligence from various countries around the world that they genuinely believe that Russian forces on the ground at least are stalled to some extent. But when it comes to the air in Kharkiv, they destroyed what Ukrainian officials say was a school. We're also hearing some terrifying words from Russian President Vladimir Putin. The cleansing of society. Those are words we have not heard in Europe other than in the days of Joseph Stalin and Nazi Germany.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Lviv, Ukraine. There's a rescue operation happening now at a theater that was being used as a shelter in Mayoral, Ukraine, in the southern part of the country. Some people are coming out alive. There's no information on casualties so far, but we're told that hundreds of people were in there, and it was labeled as having children in the building. President Biden, the White House announces, will be speaking with China's President Xi Jinping tomorrow about the Russian war in Ukraine and other issues of mutual concern. America's listening to Fox News.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historically low rates combined with rising home values means that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about our smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to loandepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03. We do have sunshine right now in Columbia. On our high today, on our way to a high of 76 degrees. Rain tonight, low near 47. And then the outlook for tomorrow on your Friday. Showers and a high of 50 degrees. It'll definitely get cooler tomorrow. 53 right now in Columbia. It's 51 in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Columbia's mayor is a huge fan of the business loop, which continues to see more investment like MACC's state-of-the-art lab at Parkade Center. The road itself will receive a complete overhaul in 2023.
I think it has the potential to be a second downtown. Certainly a commercial strip of innovators and makers and manufacturers.
Mayor Brian Treese notes the business loop is located on a bus route. The infrastructure is already there. The city council will vote Monday night on Mayor Treese's proposal to provide about $500,000 in community memberships to MACC's new lab. Meantime, a jury of 8 men and 5 women hearing a Columbia murder trial taking place at the Boone County Courthouse. David Myers charged with second-degree murder for the 2020 death of Anthony Lockwood on Sycamore Hills. That is near Creasy Springs. It's north of Columbia. Boone County Medical Examiner's Office was on the witness stand Wednesday. They testified that Lockwood had meth and alcohol in his system when he died. However, the examiner's office also testified meth did not contribute to Lockwood's death and that a stab wound from a sharp instrument killed him. The defense attorney, David Kirshner, is arguing this is a self-defense case. Boone County Circuit Judge Brooke Jacobs presiding. He's allowing jurors to take notes during the trial. They've been taking extensive notes in court. An April 19th jury trial scheduled for a Columbia man charged in connection with a 2017 drug-related killing in Old Hawthorne. Jeffrey McWilliams is charged with second-degree murder as well as robbery and armed criminal action for the 2017 death of Augustus Roberts. Mr. Roberts died at a home in the 1900 block of Lasso Circle that is in Old Hawthorne. McWilliams pleaded not guilty in February in Boone County Circuit Court. He was featured on the Food Network's Restaurant Impossible show in 2019. He was working at McLank's at the time. At one time, he also operated an ice cream store here in town. That ice cream store has since closed. Our news partner, ABC 17 News, reported in 2019 the DEA alleged that Roberts' homicide was tied to a drug trafficking scheme. Jefferson City Police out in force today.
Jefferson City police officers are increasing DWI saturation patrols today for St. Patrick's Day. Jefferson City Police Lieutenant Dave Williams tells 93.9 The Eagle that JCPD will have patrols out all day today as they work to keep impaired drivers off the road. Just this week, Jefferson City Police arrested an impaired driver who crashed into a concrete retaining wall on Highway 54 and then failed to yield to emergency vehicles. JCPD officers found more than 2 pounds of marijuana inside that vehicle. That incident happened Tuesday morning at 9. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
And Mizzou Super Tiger fan John Cleek, Tiger John Cleek, has lost his battle with ALS, passing away yesterday at University Hospital in Columbia. Many of you remember his commercials for Cleeks and Aaron's, and also he was very well known for posting his predictions of Mizzou football scores the week before the game at his store. It'd be on the windows there at the store. Thousands of Mizzou football fans honoring Mr. Cleek during a November football game at Buffaloe Field. A message was played on the video board. ABC 17 News reports Cleek Sr. began working at the store at the age of 15. He's only missed 3 football games at Buffaloe from 1958 until he passed away. And he also raised money for the ALS Clinic and Research. We have a picture of him with his family on our website, taken by 93.9 The Eagles' Andy Tutton back in November. You can see one of those predictions he made about Mizzou beating Florida. He turned out to be right. Mizzou not only won that game against Florida, but they became bowl eligible with that win. 93.9theeagle.com. Our news is brought to you this hour by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. Our news time, 8:07. In sports, Mizzou women against Drake. They'll play tonight, first round of the NIT tournament. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock, Mizzou Arena in Columbia. Brad Trinago courtside tonight, 6:45 the pregame. Catch all the action, KTGR, FM 100.5 with Brad and Kathy, and they'll be courtside tonight. If you want to go to the game, there are tickets still available. 1-800-CAT-PAWS is the number to call. Our news time, 8:08. All right, Kevin, thanks. Our weather is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. To find a location near you, clubcarwash.com. 54 degrees. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. It's 8:08. Roads right now in pretty good shape. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I'll bet everybody knows somebody somewhere along the line that in an intimate relationship, what happened was the guy takes a revealing picture of his naked friend or whatever in a compromising position, and then literally, in a sense, blackmails or mortifies that person. The country owes you, all of you, I really mean it, Thank you. The law kept growing stronger. It's not like we didn't know in 2005 we should be dealing with the things we dealt in 2013. It was getting it done. Each link in the chain that we're building made a difference, makes a difference.
I would like to tell you what Joe's talking about. I'm not sure, and I wanted to bring Randy Tobler in real quick because I was back at the station yesterday. I'm hanging out in the green room, and Randy and Brian are in the studio, and they're joking around and hearing this audio. And we spent some time yesterday, and you would think between three great minds like us, well, two and a half great minds between me, you, and Brian Hansen, we would have figured. Did we ever find context on this yesterday? All right. The first thing I thought...
I bet everybody knows somebody somewhere along the line that in an intimate relationship, what happened was the guy takes a revealing picture of his naked friend or whatever in a compromising position, and then literally, in a sense, blackmails or mortifies him.
So there's two things that came to mind. Number one, is he talking about Hunter Biden? Is he talking about his own kid? And then I thought, maybe a Missouri politician or a former office holder who's running for office again. Is that what he's referring to? I don't know. Randy Tobler is hanging out with us this morning on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. Randy is here each weekday, 4 to 6. Was out here yesterday hanging out in the studio with him and Brian. It was fun. I want to find out some of the things that are coming up on your show today. But Randy, yes, Randy and I think are really good friends. Would you agree with that statement? All right. So I've got like a little surprise here for you on the show. Yesterday, you and I, we were talking about voter turnout. Our news director, Brian Hauswirth, spoke with Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon about voter turnout. And it was because we both had very animated reactions to this prediction that there would be 15% turnout. Your reaction, Randy? Yeah. Yeah. And what was my reaction? That's yes. For historically, for most municipal elections, that's pretty good. So same thing, but we both had very different reactions. So I've got a little surprise here for you on the show. Randy, meet Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon. Brianna, meet Randy.
Hi. This is why I need to be listening before I get text from Branden to say jump on the show.
Sorry. So here's and my rememberer doesn't always work so well. That's why I've got Hannah with me all the time, because I'm always forgetting stuff, and she has to be my rememberer for me. But here's how I remember this went down. I think last year, Brianna, we had a bet. I think you were, because most of our municipal elections, what did we get, 10, 12%? And I said, I think we'll get higher on this. And we talked about it before the show. And I thought, Brianna, we bet a steak dinner. And I was right. It was a little bit of a voter turnout. Am I remembering that story properly?
You know, I would never go back on my word for things, but I have slept since then.
It was funny, and if I may share, so Brianna and I were texting yesterday, and I said, hey, Brianna, I'm taking credit for that. You're now predicting 15% voter turnout, and Brianna, and I took it as a very dry and brilliant sense of humor. Randy, here's what Brianna texted back. She says, I always tell people you're the true source of my predictions. No smiley face, no period. Nothing like that. So, Randy, you have the Boone County Clerk right now. Brianna, if you have 3 or 4 minutes. Randy, anything you'd like to ask Brianna regarding voter turnout and expectations for municipal elections? I know. And I think that leads up to a good question. I'm sorry. Go ahead and answer Randy's question, Brianna.
Well, yeah, and voter turnout, I think, looking at 2019 as the last time that there was similar issues on the ballot, we hit 18-19%, around that amount. And we may still go past 15%. I think truly right now, in addition to it being a local election, I think that, COVID really has an impact on things too. And not necessarily because people are not interested in going out and wanting to stay home, but truly just that there's this sense of being very exhausted.
Yes. No. Yes.
And I think that has a real impact on things too.
To Randy. Brianna, let me ask you this. I think there's a good question there. It's saying, we need to encourage people to vote. I'm always encouraging people to vote. And don't vote the way that I say I'm voting. Do your homework, and then you go and vote. And I'll say, hey, here's who I'm voting for. I don't ever endorse anybody. I think it's kind of pompous, but I will say who I'm voting for. Legally, to what extent can a county clerk's office, like Boone County Clerk, what's the legal leeway there in encouraging people to vote?
I mean, we can educate people on the ways to vote, and that's one of the reasons we send out sample ballots. Not every county sends out sample ballots, but those counties that don't, you hear from voters sometimes that they didn't even know an election was happening. So sometimes it's really just knowledge that an election is going to be happening soon, and that helps to do things too. And so a lot of our work is on education about how to register, how to vote, ways to participate.
Let me ask you this. We featured Maria Oropalo on the show Monday, former mayoral candidate in Columbia, and I guess Brian Hauswirth, our news director here at 93.9 The Eagle. Her name is already on the ballot, and if she does get votes, she would still be credited with those votes, and she would have to become mayor, right?
I mean, whether she would have to become mayor is really something for the city to decide. We just report the votes.
Listen, thank you so much for calling. I was literally, as our show opened, I'm texting, oh, hey, Tobler's on. Tobler is really interested in this stuff. Maybe I can do a little surprise thing for Randy Tobler, who hosts the afternoon show 4 to 6. And so I texted Brianna, and thank you for responding that quickly. While you're here, anything that we can do to be of service to the citizens of Boone County?
I always like to remind people, because we still do have a few weeks before the election, that if you're going to be out of town or you need to vote absentee, the last day to request that is coming up next week. It's the 23rd is the last day if you need something mailed to you. And we've sent out all of the voter ID cards. This year is the year that we send out voter ID cards to everybody as part of our federal and state requirements. So you should have, over the weekend, gotten your new voter ID card along with your sample ballot. So give that a look. Make sure that everything looks correct on it. If you need to update your address, let us know. If you need to update your name, let us know. And our website is vote.boonemo.org, and you can look up your polling place, look up your sample ballot, and get ready for April 5th.
Vote.boonemo.org. Brianna Lennon, Boone County Clerk. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you, Brianna.
Yeah, no, anytime. Happy to jump on.
All right, thank you. As always, you need something from us. Randy Tobler's also hanging. There you go, buddy. A little surprise for you. Chance to chat with Brianna Lennon. But it is fast. I think that story was fascinating for so many reasons. Number one, because of my history with Brianna and making bets on can we get a bigger turnout than this, and because what really, and I thought it was interesting yesterday. You had this reaction, and my reaction was this, and I'm not saying that either one is right or wrong, but it's about the perception of things. And I agree, even for the municipal, it should be even higher, maybe. The more localer, the more important. Before we let you go, I know it's still kind of early. Any idea what's coming up on the Randy Tobler show today at 4? Good. I'm glad you're doing that because so many of these teachers are being lumped, and I can be guilty of it sometimes too. So many of these teachers are being lumped. Everything that's happening in the schools with the CRT and the silliness with the masks and all this stuff, teachers as a whole, I think they're kind of getting a bad rap, and there are some good ones. And the other thing, I'm glad you're celebrating. There's something positive with the teacher because that stuff does need to be known. Randy Tobler, host of the Randy Tobler Show, weekday afternoons 4 to 6 here on 93.9 The Eagle. That housing market thing, by the way, with the feds raising rates. First time in 3 years, and there will, as Randy alluded to, be a series of them over a period of time. But I thought it was interesting because on Fox yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he said something, and I thought so Biden, Jen Psaki comes out and talks, and, well, the reason we don't have these people established in their positions is because the Republicans aren't coming in, and they're not confirming these people, and blah, blah, blah. And somebody had the and I don't remember who it was, but on Fox, it was actually the Business Channel yesterday. The guy talking to Jerome Powell says, since you're not actually confirmed, has there been any impact on your job or at the Fed's ability to handle inflation? He says none whatsoever. But the White House is saying it's all you. All right, anything else we can do for you, bud? All right, thank you. Randy Tobler. Catch him on the Randy Tobler Show today and each weekday, 4 to 6 on 93.9 The Eagle. Coming up, we'll share some texts, some folks talking about the Como Man Show coming up this Saturday. Brought to you by Seiden, Stricker, Noby, our friends at Head Motor Company, Doolittle Trailer Manufacturer, Shippers Distributing, also Show Me Barbecue Sauce, Central Missouri Delta Waterfall. The National Rifle Association is going to be there. Tickets $15 at the door, Saturday Holiday Inn Executive Center, 10 to 3. Or right now, if you go to the website, 939theeagle.com, I'll get you $5 off, man. Come on, man. Folks talking about this on text. I'll share that with you coming up here at 8:25.
Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. Drinking upstream from the herd. 93.9 The Eagle.
Most citizens of this country are conservative. Now, have they lost their way? Have they been dominated by other messaging? Certainly they have.
It's Andrew Jones. He was on the show about a month ago. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Jones at the Missouri State Lincoln Days event last month. And this guy, let me tell you the challenge for this guy. He is a black conservative, and he is running against one of the most progressive people we know in all of national politics, and that is Cori Bush. So you have a black conservative running against her, and he reps largely black neighborhoods. And I highlighted that because we're on the same page about how we message to a different generation of people that would consider, I am a conservative, and this is what being a conservative is. I just wanted to mention Fox spent some time with him the other day. Fox Television had him on the other night after we had him on last week. I thought that was cool. Welcome into the show, Wake Up Columbia. I am Branden Rathert. We're talking about voter turnout in Boone County for that April municipal election. Gary checking in, 874-9390. What's on your mind, Gary?
Yeah, Branden, I just had a question for you to ask Brianna the next time you get a hold of her. Or actually, I'd be more interested in see what she says on the air. What Boone County, as well as any county, does in order to clean up the voter rolls to get the people that have passed away off, and in particular, Columbia being a huge college town, people that have moved away because they've graduated and moved on. And I know that right now, Judicial Watch is kind of going around the country and finding states and counties that have huge numbers of more people on the voter rolls that are even eligible to vote in that county.
Yeah, and thank you. I think that's a great question that we should continue and revisit again with Boone County Clerk Breonna Taylor. In the past, when we've talked to her, there's a Breonna Lennon. What did I say?
Breonna Taylor.
Oh, gosh. Breonna Lennon, Boone County clerk. And is what they do is they compare like death certificates with the voter rolls, and they go through those. Now, I do know State Rep Cherie Tolson-Reich has done extensive work on this over the years, and it's astounding. And I think she was doing this even before she got into state politics. She did this a lot and would find across mid-Missouri, find a lot of discrepancies in these kinds of things. Thank you for that. By the way, Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler here on the show earlier, she had us cracking up laughing. The comment that made us laugh coming up at 8:35.
Stop by Club Car Wash today to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details at clubcarwash.com and find a location near you.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. As Russian forces slam Ukrainians with deadly strikes, the Russian president also blasting his own people for any criticism. The voice of a translator as he calls them
scum and traitors, and simply spit them out like a fly that accidentally flew into the mouth. Spit them out. I am convinced that such a natural and necessary cleansing of society will only strengthen our country.
He intends to cleanse Russian society. The last time we heard the language of cleansing in Europe was when the former Yugoslavia collapsed in the early 90s.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Lviv. Fewer Americans filed for first-time jobless benefits last week. 214,000 claims. Housing numbers better than expected.
Housing starts for February up 6.8%, coming in at 1.769 million.
Megan McDowell with the Fox Business Network. America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Going to be a nice day today. Sunny with a high of 76. Tonight, rain. Low near 47 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Jefferson City Police having patrols out all day today as part of their St. Patrick's Day DWI enforcement. You'll notice them out and about today in the capital city. They're increasing those saturation patrols, trying to keep impaired drivers off the road. Jefferson City Police say that impaired driving crashes are preventable, so be careful if you're riding in Jefferson City. A lot of the other communities are doing similar operations, but Jeff City starting early today. They'll be doing them all day into tonight. In Columbia, man charged with murder for a 2017 drug-related killing in Old Hawthorne will be in court tomorrow. Jeffrey McWilliams charged with second-degree murder for the 2017 death of Augustus Roberts. McWilliams featured on the Food Network's Restaurant Impossible show in 2019. He worked at a restaurant called McLank's. It's since closed. His lawyers filed a motion to try to stop a warrant for his client's DNA. Columbia's mayor is a big fan of the business loop, which continues to see more investment and development. Things like the MACC Makerspace Lab at Parkade. The road itself will receive a complete overhaul in 2023.
I think it has the potential to be a second downtown. Certainly a commercial strip of innovators and makers and manufacturers.
City Council votes Monday night on the mayor's proposal to provide $500,000 in community memberships to MACC's new lab. And former Mizzou football coach Gary Pinkel says no one loved Mizzou more than Tiger John Cleek, the longtime Columbia businessman losing his battle with ALS on Wednesday. He was honored at halftime of a Mizzou football game in November. Only missed 3 games for Mizzou dating back to 1958. We have a picture of him in front of his store making a prediction about the Florida game. 939theeagle.com. Our news time, 8:33. In sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team in action tonight at home. Anytime you get to play in March, especially at home, it is special. Some fans disappointed it's not the NCAA, and we understand that, but it is postseason. It is the NIT. Good teams in this tournament, folks. Take a look at the brackets. These are some very good teams that did not make it into the NCAA. They're in the NIT. No easy games here. Mizzou and Drake tonight. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock at Mizzou Arena. Mizzou 18-12. Drake is 18-13. One of their great outside shooters, Hannah Nilgis, number 1 from Jefferson City High School. She played with the Linthicum girls down at JC. McDonald's All-American game nominee, more than 1,000 career points at Jeff City High School. 7 o'clock tonight, the tip and the pregame, 6:45, KTGR, FM 100.5. Brad Trinago will have the call for you this evening. Our news brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction. Sports brought to you by Tiger Towing. When you can't get going, call Tiger Towing, 573-449-3754. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. The roads have been pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. Scanner's been quiet this morning, which we always like to see. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes, and we have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Word about our colleagues Pierre, Sasha, and Ben Hall tonight. The loss and pain we feel is enormous, but if ever there were a time that the world needed journalists, reporters risking their lives to tell these stories, to tell the truth, it's now. Without a free press, the autocrats win. We will redouble our efforts to honor these colleagues and all reporters in harm's way tonight.
That's Fox's Jennifer Griffin honoring Pierre Zakrzewski. He was the Fox camera operator who was killed in Ukraine, along with a local Ukrainian who was acting as a producer for him, and the reporter who is recovering. Well, that reporter he is out of Ukraine. That producer's name that was from Ukraine, her name was Alexandra Kushinova. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. Before I get on to the next thing, Congresswoman Hartzler was on earlier this morning. She was in D.C. for the speech yesterday by the Ukrainian president that he gave via video. But she said something that kind of had us laughing, and I do want to highlight that for you. But first, I want to highlight death of somebody locally. This guy went to Mizzou games, football games, for like 60 plus years, and not only that, this guy did a lot in the community, loved where he lived. years.
He really did, Brandon. It's hard to talk about, so forgive me if I choke up. I didn't know him well. I mean, I knew him, certainly talked to him many times, knew his son. His son's much closer to my age, and I've known him a long time. But Tiger John Cleek, I think what you just said just summarizes it perfectly, because he's known for being generous in the community, a Tiger football fan, and a businessman. So to those 3 points quickly, he donated a lot of money to a lot of people, helped a lot of causes over the years, including the Bowling for Autism, which Zimmer Radio is involved in. He also was involved in ALS research, involved in a lot of stuff there. Tiger football, you said it best. He only missed 3 football games dating back to 1958, and loved being there. Huge fan, and he'd make those predictions on the signs there at the arena. And then the other point was that being a businessman in the community, not just in Columbia, but man, I remember I was working in Moberly when they opened the store up there. It was a really big deal. Had ALS, Brandon. He was struggling. He went to my church, Our Lady of Lourdes, and I know that they would always pray for him. Hadn't seen him at Mass. He passed away yesterday, and condolences to his family.
He was like, you talk about a community player, somebody who was here, and it wasn't just the Mizzou football. He was just like, wait, what can I do to help here in town? And I think that's a spirit to be admired.
Exactly.
There is Hannah, the producer. What's hot with Hannah today? We did tattoos. Have you ever had a tattoo where you get the name of a significant other? And we did have an interesting comment on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page on this. We do What's Hot with Hannah every morning at 7:25. But it was a guy, he didn't get Ish, yeah. Emphasis on the ish. But we do it every day. Hannah kind of scours news outlets, tries to find something interesting and unique. And it was about tattoos. You know, anybody's got a tattoo, the name of a significant other. We had a guy who didn't get a tattoo of a significant other, but I guess people get the tattoo wedding rings.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of those. And our friend Nathan on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page was one of those folks who opted for a tattooed wedding band.
Because it's permanent.
Yeah. And then he had to get it lasered off when they split.
Nathan, and thank you for sharing that, by the way, Nathan. I appreciate that. For you to put that out there on Facebook. Yeah, I got a tattoo of a wedding ring. Didn't work out and had to get it done. I appreciate that you would share that.
Did you see Paul's text message? It was something to the extent, because Brandon, I had asked you if you had any significant others tattooed on you. And Paul basically said that you'd have a lot of lines through whatever tattoo you had.
So I have a tattoo. And by the way, remind me, anytime I talk about drinking, you know what I always forget to do? Because I don't mean to make light of what I do. I don't drink anymore. Today actually is my 570th day without a drink, but it's taken me like 35 years to be sober that long. So when I joke and laugh about it, I always forget to add. So Hannah, I'm going to put more on your plate. If you can remind me when I do talk about this stuff, remind me to say, hey, if you know someone, if you're trying to quit, you can't, or you know somebody who needs help or whatever. If you want to call me personally, we can get you set up. I mean, I ain't selling you anything. I'll tell you what I did and what I am doing today. That finally, after 35 years, helped me lead an entirely different life, because I don't do that anymore. So remind me, because I always forget. I try to make a point to mention that, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm making light of drinking and things like that.
Can you remind me to remind you?
My goodness. Welcome into the show. My name is Branden Rathert. This is Wake Up Columbia. If there is something that we can do for you, 874-9390. Vicky Hartzler, the Congresswoman, also running for Senate. She was in Washington, D.C. yesterday for the speech by the Ukrainian president, which had Senator Chris Coons saying, I have not seen this much unity in Washington, D.C. in a long time. The Congresswoman agreed with his comments. But she said something that kind of made us laugh. She had a little bit of personality, and I thought you might get a kick out of that. So we'll do that here in just a minute. Also off the text, some folks talking about that Como Man Show. That's coming up this Saturday. Hannah and I are going to be there, and we're going to be doing miniature golf. So we'll have miniature golf laid out. It's going to be a good time. $20 at the door, Saturday, 10 to 3. But if you get onto our website right now, 939theeagle.com, we'll get you in for $15. It's put on by Doolittle Trailer Manufacturing, Seiden, Stricker, Nobe, and Shepherd's Distributing. Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, the Conservation Department of Missouri, man, they're going to be out there. Graff and Sons, Jones Farm and Home, Creative Audio, American Shaman of Mid-Mo, Mossy Oak Properties. Dang it, I can't talk today, Hannah.
Just today?
It seems worse than usual. I have a new nickname here around the show. It's It's
JJ.
JJ.
You couldn't even remember your nickname. That just proves the point of it.
Did I mention I've been sober for 570 days?
Remember when you thought that getting sober would help your memory?
Mm-hmm. Like, it seems worse. And I thought it was getting better for a bit, but I'm like, man. Oh, so here's what people are saying on text regarding the Man Show. I love this text from Ricky, 874-9390. He says, man, my wife is out of town this weekend. I'm going to the Man Show. I like that. And then listener Benny says, this is going to be our very first Man Show, so kind of excited to see how it goes. Benny, we are excited to have you being a part of the Come On Man Show. 10 to 3, Saturday, Holiday Inn Executive Center. And Saturday, temps are going to be not as nice as today. Today, we're talking high of 75 plus. Saturday, things going to cool down a little bit. Great time to come join us indoors. Saturday, Holiday Inn Executive Center. Come On Man Show. Then there's... I try to find, there's cool things to look at. There's power equipment, there's fun, there's games, contests, live music, plenty of food, plenty of drink, just all kinds of things happening. Hannah and I will be looking up for you out there. We're going to be doing some miniature golf. Okay. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler on the show. Excuse me, earlier this morning, obviously she was in D.C. this morning. She checked in 6:10. She came on following this speech yesterday by the Ukrainian president. And it's rousing. And then after the speech, Biden apparently did take some action. And Congresswoman Hartzler said, I think we could be doing more. And I asked her, okay, so what is some of the more stuff? What would you like to see us do?
Well, the security package yesterday was helpful to continue to get more Stinger missiles, Javelin missiles that have been helpful in there. It includes some patrol boats. But it only has 200 shotguns, 200 machine guns, 200 grenade launchers. I've got the list here. There is a nation of 44 million people. 3 million of them have escaped, and they're refugees now. But that means there's still 41 million people hunkered down there in that country, and we're giving them 200 shotguns. That could arm one ladies' coffee group. We need... I'm not proud of all those grandmas.
I like that. Sense of humor from Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, sharp this morning. You'll be able to hear that entire interview, 6 o'clock hour in the Wake Up Columbia podcast. Hannah has posted most days by 10. Not today by 10.
Well,
no, not ever by 10.
It just kind of depends these days. I do it as soon as I can, I promise.
As soon as it's able to get up there. But wherever you download podcasts from, you can go there, or you can go to our website, 939theeagle.com. That's how a lot of us older people access podcasts. We go to do it, I guess, the old fashioned, right? We go to the website and get the podcast that way. But wherever you're streaming your podcast from, get them off your favorite podcasting app. Coming up about 8:50, some leftovers. I think some of the things we're going to be covering on leftovers, although we did cover this a little bit earlier, I do want to share this in case you missed it. So Trump has said, I know pretty much confirming if Trump were to run in 2024, the one guy for sure that would not be his running mate. That's going to be coming up. And you recognize the name Randi Weingarten? She is the head of the National Teachers, American Federation of Teachers president, that union. And we know what the unions are like, even locally. My goodness, some of the things we see happening in Columbia. And I don't know what's happening in other school districts like in Callaway or California or Jefferson City. I'm not as in depth there as I am in Jefferson City, or Columbia, but I know what happens here. Randi Weingarten. She's president, the American Federation of Teachers. She pulled almost a Branden Rathert.
Oh, no. Bless her heart.
Yeah, that's the proper response. Oh, no. Bless your heart. We'll get into that coming up with some leftovers. That's coming your way at 8:51 here on 93. The folks at Atterbury Auction and Realty Company, AtterburySales.com, kind of changing the game, kind of changing what people think and know about auction and realty companies. Definitely changing what I thought I knew. But is what they're doing is they're doing a lot of these online events. For example, right now, if you get on to AtterburySells.com, there's a restaurant equipment auction from Lutz's Barbecue. So is what they're going to be featuring. There's a walk-in cooler and freezer, a deep fryer, a 6-burner grill, just all kinds of things. Multiple booth seats, some patio furniture. So there is going to be a preview March 21st from 3:30 to 5:30. Also, you could get online right now to AtterburySells.com and you could see some of this stuff. And then bidding will end on March 22nd. At 12:30. So you can get on there and you can see some of this stuff and you can bid online. Then the bidding ends on Tuesday. But online bidding ends Tuesday, March 22nd. And there's a lot of things like this, unique stuff from right here in town, beautiful homes and properties. Check it out. See what's out there. And get on there and play around a little bit. AtterburySells.com.
always certain. Sometimes right. This is Branden, Rathert, and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
That what's happened is these companies have said, we'll pass along costs, but while we're at it and everyone's talking about rising costs, let's just add an extra big dollop of cost increases to expand our profits.
Do you agree with those comments? I do. We've been saying that for a while here. I think this happens every time, and I don't have any proof that backs it up, but it's a sense I get, and why not? Because when people start talking about, these companies, inflation, supply chain, fuel costs, this is more, we've got to pass. We have incurred more expenses. It costs us more to make our product, to deliver your goods. Now we have to pass that to the final person in this equation, and that person is you. It's me. So we got to pass it along. That's what we got to do. We're the ones that end up paying for all this stuff. But then I believe there are companies, inflation, gas prices, Ukraine, Russia, unrest here in America, president with some of the worst favorability ratings that we have seen in a lot of years, inflation at record highs we haven't seen in some 40 years. Got all this stuff going on. As a company, I think we could say, hey, you know what? We were going to raise our price from $5 to $7. Let's just raise it to $8. Yeah, inflation. I agree with those comments. That was Senator Elizabeth Warren. And now however, I separate from her when she says that's one of the real big reasons for inflation. I separate there.
Oh, so you agree with a caveat.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with this stuff I agree with, and I disagree with the stuff I disagree. But there's a caveat.
You're open-minded about the stuff that you're open-minded about.
I'm open-minded about the stuff I'm open-minded about. Well, I was open-minded to listen to what Elizabeth had to say, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with what she says. But the idea that that's the real reason for inflation, yeah, I don't agree with that. I hope you're getting excited about the Como Man Show. I'm loving the text that folks have been sending at 874-9390, getting ready for Saturday's big show. $20 at the door if you get onto our website today, $15, 939theeagle.com. Como Man Show. Coming up Saturday, 10 to 3, Holiday Inn Executive Center. $20 at the door, $15 if you go to our website. Trigger Firearms, nothing but cakes.
I am so excited for them to be there. I love them so much.
I love I love them just on virtue of their name. I've never had any of their products. Nothing but BUNDT. Nothing but cakes.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Very nice. I love it. Doolittle Trailer Manufacturing, site in Strickanoby, Shepherd's Distributing. Friends at I-70 Towing and Recovery, Robinson Heating and Air are going to be joining us this Saturday, Como Man Show. And folks, getting excited, man. I hope to see you there.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
Some leftovers, things we didn't get to on the show today. Randy Weingarten, you recognize that name. She is the American Federation of Teachers. She is the president for them, the union. So that tells you a lot right there. She did a tweet yesterday. Now remember, head of this teachers union put up a tweet which has since been deleted. The tweet, of course, put in something to hit behind Ukraine, but it was hashtag We Stand With Ukraine. This head of the teachers union misspelled a word.
Wait, is this why you asked me how to spell Ukraine this morning?
I did, because I thought everybody knows how to spell Ukraine, right? How do you spell Ukraine?
Ukraine.
Right. Head of the president, the know-all, end-all, be-all of a teachers union, spells it Ukraine.
It's kind of like leaving a letter out of arithmetic.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of room to talk. I misspelled arithmetic on Twitter. However, I am not a president of any organization, and I am not a teacher, nor am I a president of a teachers union. Sometimes I would just think that, if you're head of a teachers union, you got spelling in the bag, baby, but apparently not.
Well, especially, I don't consider Ukraine a terribly difficult word to spell. So hopefully it was just a typo and it's not actually how she thinks you spell it.
By the way, in this letter from a member of Progressive Teachers for Como, so I'm guessing this person, as far as I know, is a teacher, head of this Facebook group with 340 47 members. Mackenzie Everett, I can't remember her last name, but over the past month, I have witnessed my community. Should be witnessed, right? Again, I'm not a teacher, but she is. See ya.